Meanwhile, Trump's ongoing trade war has led to another wild day on Wall Street as the stock market once again dropped hundreds of points. People are saying Trump doesn't know anything about the economy, and they might have a point. I mean, he thinks bear markets are where RFK Jr. buys his lunch meat.
Hey, that's a good one. They're fine with that member of the Kennedy family that beat Martha Moxley to death with a golf club. That's okay. That's a little round of applause. Hey, Ted Kennedy. Hey, don't forget your date. She's in the back seat. Time for brunch, I guess. Hey, Ted. Hey, the Democrats are, they've joined the jihad. You see them? They're dressed like the Sheikh from Arabic. You see them? They're all dressed like Yasser Arafat and Osama bin Laden. Last time I saw a guy dressed like that, he was being rolled up by SEAL Team 6 and dropped off of a Navy ship. But it's Democrats that are attacking the Jews and the police. You see them violently, the mobs, again, dressed like cartoon Arab terrorists in New York City, out there to express their anti-Semitism. You see, President Trump a couple of weeks ago, he made English the official language of the United States. The Democrats are very upset about that. Turns out they want to make the official language of the United States German. That's kind of weird, isn't it? And then goose-stepping around, their hobnailed boots. They should be wearing armbands. What should their armband have on it? Maybe a D for something. What would the D be for on their armbands? It's hard to say. Well. A very good Wednesday to you, and welcome back once again. We continue to be at 888-630-9625. Violent mobs of pro-terrorists. Well, let's just call them what they are. Terrorist Democrats. They're terrorists. They dress like terrorists. They act like terrorists. They terrorize Jewish people because they're Jewish. They violently attack the police in New York City in mobs. And I remember they were upset for about 5 minutes. Well, for about 5 years. Over 5 minutes of January 6th. Remember January 6th? And the Democrats were very upset. Oh, no, Republicans assaulted police, and that's our job. You can't assault police. And they were violently assaulting the police yesterday. It was worse than January 6th yesterday. And they were attacking. It was the established authority they were attacking, which means it was an insurrection, another insurrection. I wonder if Joe Biden is still suffering from insurrection. Do you think he's still suffering from insurrection? Might explain Dr. Jill's relationship with the Secret Service. But that's for another day. So yesterday, the Democrats violently attacking, in mobs, of course, dressed like Arabs. Attacking, and they're growing long beards. You see them, they're growing, and they put on the Arab head. That's just the women. The women have the best beards in the Democrat Party these days because they're on all kinds of testosterone treatments, and they a lot of the men like Rosie O'Donnell, for example. See, Rosie O'Donnell, she injured her testicles. Did you hear about that? It's quite sad, very, very sad. Poor Rosie, poor big fat loud lesbian Rosie. She is fleeing the United States, thankfully. I'm signing the cross right now. And Rosie O'Donnell, she's leaving the United States, and I'd like to apologize right now officially to Ireland. And the Irish Prime Minister is in the United States today. He's in the United States today having fun with Americans, because even though they've got some issues, because they've got some Israel issues too. And it's kind of funny, but Rosie O'Donnell is fleeing the United States of America because she hates the United States of America, and she's filled with hatred. And when she's filled, let me tell you something, there's a lot going on there. She's filled. When she fills up, woohoo, it could change the rotation of the Earth when she fills up. Move her to the other side of the planet. Could change the tilt of the planet on the axis. So Ireland better look out. But she's fleeing because her last name is O'Donnell, and if you have one of your 4 grandparents, then you get special, if they're Irish, then you have easy entree to Ireland as a dual citizen and all that stuff. But she's fleeing, her name is O'Donnell, so she gets to go there. And I think she learned that it's, the whitest country on the planet Earth that Rosie O'Donnell's fleeing to? She doesn't like people of color. She's a racist. And she hates the Jews. Why do they all hate the Jews? She should have moved to New York. Not enough white people there, I guess, for Rosie. But she's fleeing to Ireland, and our condolences to Ireland. It's a sad, sad day. It's like, First Bloody Sunday, and then Rosie O'Donnell moves to Ireland. What next for Ireland? How terrible. They got the potato famine, and then Bloody Sunday, and now Rosie O'Donnell moves to Ireland. It's quite sad. She's got various things caught in a wedge, no doubt about it. But I got her coming up because she proudly boasting, you may recall, that she's big, fat, loud lesbian Rosie. And you remember what Donald Trump said about Rosie O'Donnell? More than once he had fun things to say about Rosie O'Donnell. I hope that President Trump comes out today and is asked about Rosie O'Donnell, because he'll doubtless have something colorful to say about Rosie O'Donnell today. I look forward to that. Very, very good. Oh, speaking of the Democrat, communist, pig dog, genocidal anti-Semite, goose-stepping, armband-wearing, hobnailed boot, kicking Democrat, the Democrats violently attacking police yesterday. It was January 6th. I was having flashbacks. It was terrifying. The Democrats attacking the police in the streets of New York, but they're all dressed like Arab terrorists, which I think makes it worse than January 6th, don't you? I think so. Of course, Ashley Babbitt was shot and killed by a racist U.S. Capitol police officer on January 6th, so that was worse. Did anybody get shot yesterday in New York? Well, that's a silly question. It's New York. Of course somebody got shot yesterday. Don't be silly. It's full of Democrats. They love shooting people, don't they? They shoot people all over all over the place, those Democrats. But I've got a lot of stuff for you, because the violent, crazy Democrats rioting in New York again, perfectly normal. They made violent riots perfectly normal long before January 6th. In fact, had they and the news media telling us that it's mostly peaceful while we're watching cities burn and being looted and plundered and thousands of police injured and dozens of people murdered and billions in property damage looted and burned by all Democrats, 100% Democrats. It would be 110% Democrats, but 100% is the maximum possible. So that 100% Democrats, the violence everywhere. And yesterday they were back at it again in New York because they're supporting a jihadi who's a genocidal Jew hater, and he's a hero of the Democrat Party. Mahmoud Khalil, know that name. The Democrats, and he lied on his visa application for a student visa. Hey, are you a jihadi? Me? No, I'm not a jihadi. Search me. I'm searching me now. I'm going like, search me. No, I'm not a jihadi. And then, hey, you're applying for a green card. Are you a jihadi now? Me? No, I'm not. I'm going to check the no box, just like Hunter Biden on his gun application. Hey, are you a crackhead or anything? You ever been kicked out of the Navy for repeated use of cocaine? No, me? No, No, I just live in a, what was that, $15,800 a month house in Malibu, which he says he can't move into because the next door neighbor's house burned in the big fires that the Democrats arranged because they made sure no water came out of the fire hydrants. The Democrat Party they're not good at government or anything. They're good at violence and transgenderism. They're good at cross-dressing. Very, very good. I live in a very Democrat neighborhood. I walked out today and everybody was cross-dressing. Kind of weird. But not so weird that you just, that you stop, because they get very upset when you look at it. Oh, speaking of which, you see in Congress, the Democrats have a cross-dresser in Congress and a Republican, what is it, misgendered. This is a term that they use. Misgendered. This Democrat member of Congress who's a dude tries to look like a lady, doesn't work very well. And the Republican chair of the committee, I believe it was, said, sir, or, like the gentleman from whatever. And I said, I am not a and the other Democrat got really angry. That's not a gentleman. It's like, I don't know. I said, kind of got some kind of funny protrusions over there. That's not a lady by any definition that I'm familiar with. But the Democrats are so screwed up in the head that men are called women and jihadis are called welcome additions to the United States of America. They lie on their applications for student visas about being jihadis. They are jihadis. Just amazing stuff. Man, oh, man. I think Rosie O'Donnell should have stayed and burned some Tesla dealerships and shot more bullets through the front windows of Tesla dealerships and things, because Democrats, it's a violent party. It's always been a violent party since they fired on Fort Sumter and started the first American Civil War, the first one, mind you. And then they started the Confederate States of America with the Democrat president, Jefferson Davis. They still love Jeff Davis, don't they? They're trying to erase their history, though. Yeah, they are. That's the Democrat Party. So I'm scratching the surface on a few things I have for you today. Also, this is a big problem for Democrats. The price of eggs, a big talking point. I could play a half-hour montage of Democrats yelling, "Oh, Trump said he was going to lower the price of food, and eggs have gone up 5 cents because Joe Biden bit the heads off of more than 100 million chickens." He was the geek in chief, Joe Biden. Biting the necks, it was kind of weird, don't you think? And his sharpening his teeth with a little metal file and biting chicken heads off. What a freak. Ever see that movie, Freaks? What is that, 1932? That's fun. Fun movie. Joe Biden might have been in it. Oh, speaking of the ancient dead of the left, Bernie Sanders, who enjoyed participating in the Bolshevik Revolution in St. Petersburg in 1917. Yesterday, he's out there with that Pod Save Transgenderism, I think it's called. Pod Save the Death of America. And he was out there yesterday saying this is the scariest time he's ever lived through. Right? Not the assassination of Abraham Lincoln and all the things that he's lived through. But this is the scariest time, and he's spitting food out of the gaps in his teeth, and he's sitting. You see, Pajama Boy interviewing him. This Pajama Boy with his stupid little socks with the green stripes on them, and sitting there like a teenager, doesn't even know how to hold a microphone, doing pod save stupidity. Pretty amazing stuff. So we got him. But in the meantime, the price of eggs plummets. See, that's the headline. Egg prices plummet. Newsweek magazine. Egg prices plunged nearly $2, now lower than when Trump took office. See, now he's lowering the price of food. The news media, they won't talk about that. The Washington Examiner has the story, but the Washington Post does not because they're filth. They're filth, and they're owned by that centibillionaire who doesn't like America or children or anything that normal people like. Also, our Secretary of the Department of Education, Linda McMahon, she is Department of Education says it will cut nearly 50% of staff, and then presumably our educational norms will rise. We'll go up. Our standards will go up because these people are mental. They're mental. And still talking about doing away with the Department of Education. We've been, for decades now, throwing billions and billions of dollars at the Department of Education, and our test scores go down and down and down because Democrats. Now, maybe we should put Rosie O'Donnell in charge of education. We'll have her do that in Ireland first and see what happens. Big, fat, loud, lesbian Rosie. Nothing charming about her. Also, Elon Musk, who his life is in danger every day because the violent Democrat lunatics that are shooting up Tesla dealerships, burning Teslas, firebombing Teslas, Molotov cocktails, firebombing dealerships. The left is a violent criminal organization. Again, attacking the police yesterday in New York. It was like January 6th. I was having flashbacks. I wasn't really having I don't really have flashbacks. I just remember stuff, and then I do something else. But that's pretty amazing stuff. But he is getting ready to rescue these 2 astronauts that Joe Biden left stranded in space because he hates America and he forgets everything in a matter of a couple of minutes. Pretty amazing. Also, USAID, U.S. Agency for International Development, their staff have been told to clear out their classified safes and shred or burn all of their documents, which is, by the way, a felony criminal conspiracy for which people need to be in handcuffs, nightsticks, tasers, stun guns, jail for years and years and years. That is an actual, there are RICO statutes violated, destruction of government property. They're engaged in an active conspiracy to cover up their crimes. Isn't that amazing? Wah, wah, wah. Hakeem Jeffries, he's a jihadi. He hates the Jews. He's out there lying. He lies all the time. But he's a Democrat. He can't help it. It's genetically encoded. Oh, by the way, Ukraine agreed to a peace deal, to a 30-day ceasefire, at least, a 30-day ceasefire. Putin is a communist, so he hasn't done that yet. He's like a Democrat. He has not yet agreed, but it's step one toward ending war. The Democrats don't want to end war. They want more war. They're the left. Putin loves killing. The left loves killing. They've got a lot in common. But wait till you hear about this Khalil update, Mahmoud Khalil update, and these idiot Democrats, like this idiot Democrat senator, Chris Murphy, out there saying mental stuff. Plus, of course, the LGBTQ DNC update. Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at washingtontimes.com/Chris. Yeah, the extremist, communist, anti-American Slate magazine. The headline, "Why isn't the entire country terrified by the arrest of Mahmoud Khalil?" Yeah, we should have been terrified at the arrest of Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and Mohammed Atta. They love radical Islamic jihadi terrorists, and these lefties would be the first ones they'd kill when they take over. They're stupid and suicidal, but violently, criminally insane at the same time. So, got to keep tabs on that stuff. All right, Michael, let's take a phone call and talk to the nice people, the American people. Everyone is going to miss Rosie O'Donnell. Not really, just kidding. All right, let's go to Marty, calling from Appleton, Wisconsin. Oh, Marty, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris, how you doing?
Hey, Marty, I'm great. What do you say?
What do I say? I say the government's too damn busy trying to fix what Biden left us to sit and play pretend in Congress that some guy is a woman. I'm not going to sit and play pretend with you. You want to play pretend, go find somebody and go home and play pretend with your little teacups.
Right.
Okay?
Yep.
This is real business here.
Yep, dress up and make believe. They love dress up and make believe, and all the boys
He's
dress.
Just a pervert.
Well, yeah, pervert.
He wants to get a cheap thrill to go in the ladies' bathroom. Are you kidding me? Get the hell out of here.
Yeah. Well, that's you're Marty. You're what we call normal.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, and Democrats, I hope that Appleton, Wisconsin is full of normal people. Would that be a safe bet, or is that over with too?
No, that's a safe bet. It's mostly red, but there's a libertarian college here, Lawrence University, very, very left. But the majority of Appleton is red.
Well, that's good. Now that you brought up the Democrat member of the House of Representatives who dresses up like a lady even though he's a man, and the indignation of the Democrats if you should dare to identify him correctly according to biology and science, which the left is against, like that Supreme Court justice, you know. Thanks, Marty.
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition?
Mhm.
No, I can't.
You can't?
Not in this context.
So
I'm not a biologist.
You must have gone to an Ivy League institution or two. Supreme Court Justice, believe it or not, in the United States of America, Ketanji Brown Jackson. What kind of name is Ketanji? Is that an Irish name? Where does that come from, Ketanji? I don't. Where's she come from? Is that like a Missouri name or something? She's Joe Biden's pick to sit on the Supreme Court. She indeed sits on the Supreme Court because Republicans, they don't fight every fight the way that the left does. They'll burn your car dealership if they disagree with you on anything. But she's a woman, so I can identify her correctly as a woman because she's a woman. I can identify them an adult female human. That's a woman. Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, she doesn't know what a woman is because she's not a biologist, right? I know what an airplane is, but I'm not a flight engineer. How about that? We should ask her other trick questions. But the Democrats, they've got a dude in the House of Representatives, And they're very, very excited about this dude because they've got Congresswoman, who's actually a congressman, Sarah McBride, who's actually not Sarah McBride at all. Sarah McBride is not Sarah because dude just said, I'm going to start calling myself Sarah now, and I'm going to insist that everyone pretend that I'm a woman, even though I'm not, in defiance of science and biology and culture and all civilizational norms for all of the history of humankind and every culture everywhere on the planet. But the left in the United States in particular, they've pretty much done away with this, even in England, where their Navy is known mostly for buggery. Buggery is a great word, isn't it? It's a fun word, especially with talking about British people. I think it was Winston Churchill said that the British Navy, known for not too many things, but one of them was buggery. Remarkable stuff. But this dude, who goes by the name Sarah McBride, the first openly transgender person elected as a state senator in the United States, and then the Democrats said, hey, we got a cross-dressing tranny Delaware, by the way, Joe Biden's Delaware, where he's got his multi-million-dollar waterfront mansions and his Corvette is parked there and all those classified documents and all that stuff. No problem with the FBI, though. No ambush of him. No staged photographs fed to the media of him. But dude, you see, says, I'm a lady. And everybody's supposed to say, yeah, Sarah McBride is a lady. Sure, that's what's going on. And you go to the pages for this person, and they still say, yeah, Sarah McBride was born in Wilmington, Delaware, and Tim, he's really Tim McBride. That's another Monty Python moment, isn't it? His name is Tim, but they call him Tim. Now, in this case, his name is Tim, but they call him Sarah. Sarah, which is definitely a girl's name, a woman's name if you're a grown-up girl. Amazing stuff. But the news media is furious now. NBC fake news, for example. The headline is from last night, Republican adjourns hearing after exchange over misgendering Representative Sarah McBride. Now, let me say that it's first of all, misgendering is not a word. Let's start with that. It's a made-up word. The left has made it up because they've got a lot of mental issues. And NBC fake news has the headline, House Republican, singular, adjourns hearing after exchange over misgendering Representative Sarah McBride, who I would say misgenders himself because every fiber of his being, every cell in his body will correctly identify him as a male. If he were killed in a fiery crash, like a lady pilot was flying your plane and flipped it over and it burned and stuff like that, and your body was charred, crispy critter, and they pull it out, they would examine because we, the patriarchy, you're welcome, Americans, we cracked the genetic code long ago, and so we advanced science by leaps and bounds, and now we know that we can identify from a single cell whether a person is male or female. And this person is male, every fiber of his being. But he says, I'm a lady. And he doesn't really look like a lady, but a House hearing, House of Representatives, the Congress of the United States of America, a House hearing ended abruptly Tuesday after an exchange between a Republican and Democratic committee member over the GOP chair's misgendering of Representative Sarah McBride, born Tim McBride. And so we got that going. At the hearing hosted by the Foreign Affairs Subcommittee on Europe, Representative Keith Self, a Republican from Texas and a normal person, recognized McBride, D. Delaware, to speak and misgendered her. I think that NBC just misgendered him because and we were talking about this, Jasmine and Michael and I were talking about this just a few minutes ago here in the radio studio. I said, listen, if you want to dress up like a lady, knock yourself out. You can go ahead, go to the drag races, have the drag brunch, do whatever you want to do. You're a drag queen. grow a big beard. You can dress in an Arab headdress and threaten to kill all the Jews because Democrats really love that. And you can do whatever you want. And I was saying to Jasmine and Michael, you can sit. I'm pointing at a chair. I'm doing it now, too. You can sit in this chair next to me, dressed like a lady, and, knock yourself out. But you cannot. Here's what you cannot do. You cannot order me to live in your delusion, to live inside of your fantasy world. You can live in your fantasy world because I will recognize your mental illness or whatever your gender problem is. And that's, basically none of my business. But when you make it my business by forcing your madness upon me and all of society and the U.S. Congress, then I'm sorry, I'm going to have to draw the line. Because I'm not going to be ordered to live in your fantasy. You can live in your fantasy, and I'll leave you alone. You do whatever you want. I've talked about this. I was on the board of my building in Washington, D.C. for many years. We had a transgender dude in our building, like 6'5", 265-pound dude. Sounded like, Tony Bennett. Hey, Chris, how are you? So, riding the elevator, he'd tilt the elevator if he's on one side. A big old dude could play in the NFL. And perfectly nice dude, but, long hair and breastises and put dresses on and things like that. And, knock yourself out. None of my business. You can do whatever you want. But you can't order me to pretend along with you. That's a bridge too far. So NBC fake news. At the hearing hosted by Foreign Affairs Subcommittee on Europe, Representative Keith Self recognized McBride, a dude pretending to be a lady, to speak and misgendered her, referred to him as him correctly and accurately, biologically, scientifically, because he's not Ketanji Brown Jackson. He does know what a woman is. And the Democrats became so angry because they pound the table and they're spitting mad, their mental illness on not just display, but parade. And they demand angrily that you pretend along with them. And I'm not going to do that. You can tell me you're 8 feet tall and you can slam dunk, but you're 5 feet tall and you're never going to slam dunk. And you can't tell me that you're 8 feet tall and that you're slam dunking when you're not. So now I recognize the representative from Delaware, Mr. McBride. Mr. McBride. Without missing a beat, McBride responded by thanking Self and referring to him as Madam Chair. See, because he's a man. So, dude who dresses like a lady, I'm going to misgender you. I recognize that you're a man, and I'm going to deliberately misgender you by calling you Madam Chair. I'm not a madam. I'm a concierge. So the committee's top Democrat, Congressman Bill Keating, naturally of Massachusetts, then interjected and demanded that Republican Congressman Self to repeat his remarks. So I've got the audio for you. Let's play it here because here it is when Democrats show up, a man dressed like a lady, and the Democrats are so proud. We have the first openly, they love to say openly transgender, like there have been a lot of cross-dressing members of Congress in the past, like J. Edgar Hoover or something. I'm a Mary, and who was not in Congress, but never mind that. He is buried in the Congressional Cemetery in Washington. But here was the exchange yesterday on Capitol Hill with the Democrats parading their mental illnesses.
I now recognize the representative from Delaware, Mr. McBride.
Mr.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ranking Member Keating, also wonderful.
Mr. Chairman, could you repeat your introduction again, please?
Yes, it's a
Democrat interjecting.
We have set the standard on the floor of the House, and I'm simply.
What is that standard, Mr. Chairman?
Science.
Would you repeat what you just said when you introduced a duly elected representative from the United States of America? Please.
With a penis.
I will. The representative from Delaware, Mr. McBride.
Mr. Penis.
Mr. Chairman, you are out of order.
I'm out of order.
Mr. Chairman, have you no decency?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I've come to know you a little bit, but this is not decent.
We will continue this.
You will not continue it with me unless you introduce a duly elected representative the right way.
The right way. That's what I've done.
This hearing is adjourned.
You're out of here. Just get out. So he's like, you're like, you people are mentally ill. You people are crazy. You people deny science. You deny biology. You deny millennia of culture. You deny reality. And look, and let me repeat for these morons from Massachusetts and Delaware, I'm fine with you living in your delusion. I'm leave you, I promise you, unmolested, because I'm not with TSA or anything. But isn't that amazing? So the Democrat becomes furious. The Massachusetts Gesundheit Democrat becomes furious. And that's it. I will not allow this because we're playing dress up and make believe, and everyone has to live in our fantasy with us.
Chairman, you are out of order. Mr. Chairman, have you no decency?
Have you no decency? I love that. Just stay out of the little girl's locker room, would you? And I think on Capitol Hill on the Democrat side, they probably do have a little girl's locker room, don't they? I think they must. So that was a great moment in great moments in congressional history. Dun, dun, dun. And the Democrat Party, they're the party of cross-dressers, and they'll fight you. They'll argue with you about it. And Ketanji Brown Jackson still doesn't know what a woman is. They don't know what science is. They don't know what biology is. We cracked the genetic code long ago. You're welcome. The patriarchy is great. We love science. The left is anti-science. They're anti-biology. They're anti-history. They're anti-Western civilization. They are unwell, very, very unwell. So I've got to say good for Congressman Keith Self, S-E-L-F, the Republican from Texas, who recognized Mr. McBride, right, and introduced the recognized representative from Delaware, Mr. McBride. And they couldn't be more furious about this because, you're playing dress up, and that's okay. And I got to ask, have you had the surgery? Have you had the chop, fizz? Is your genitalia in a mayonnaise jar on Funkin' Wagnall's front porch since noon yesterday? Honestly, what are we supposed to pretend? You want to pretend that Israel is the bad guy? They're doing that today, too. Israel is the villain. Israel is the bad guy. And Hamas, they're the good guys. This is today's Democrat Party. They couldn't be more like Nazis. In Germany in the 1930s, cross-dressing was very big. They made that Joel Grey movie. What's that called? Cabaret. Made that Cabaret movie. And they dance around and sing funny tunes and all that stuff. Just amazing stuff. And the media very upset. The Representative Sarah McBride, also known as Tim, misgendered by Republican congressman during House hearing. That's a headline in the Delaware newspaper because dude is from Delaware dressing like a lady. Fox News, GOP lawmaker calls trans Dem, quote, Mr. McBride, end quote, abruptly ends hearing after ultimatum from another Dem. They've always got demands and ultimatums, don't they? Or are those ultimata, the plural of ultimatums? These people, they are not well at all. Politico, House hearing ends with heated exchange, only because of the mental illness of the Democrat Party. Amazing stuff. And exchange over how to address transgender member. Well, speaking of members, I have a follow-up question because I think that goes to what we're talking about here, doesn't it? Wah, wah, wah. The Democrat Party, they've got a lot of issues. One of them is a member issue. What? What are you talking about? The latest eruption of Republican hostility toward Representative Sarah McBride. It's not Republican hostility. Tim is a man. And if you're not a man, I think we're going to need some proof. And if you have a surgically implanted organ that is not yours, that doesn't actually make you a woman. That's not what a woman is. A woman is not Frankenstein's genital monster. And you people need psychological help. We're not going to play along with your little fantasy. We're going to tell the truth. I know you're anti-truth, but maybe Big Pharma can help you people.
There are some who call me Tim.
Well, at least they hate Jews. and want to wipe Israel off the face of the earth just like the Nazis and the jihadis. But what's the difference? Our Democrat Party is... we should go to Big Pharma, see if they can come up with the cocktail of drugs that would bring all these mental people back into the fold. Not that we really want them in the fold. Also, did you see California hit by two earthquakes? It's unclear whether the earthquakes are related to Rosie O'Donnell leaving the state. It's possible that she was getting on a Gulfstream jet or something, and boom, 7.8 on the Richter scale. Let's grab a phone call, Michael. Let's go to Greg calling from Rockville, Maryland. Gregory, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hello, Chris. Love the show, as always.
Thanks, Greg.
Wanted to say real quick, didn't know if you've seen this article or kind of this headline, that there was a WNBA player, Angel Reese, who you've talked about in the past, and she was on a podcast, I think, with some other WNBA player, and they were going off about how little they were, how they want more money, and then, maybe we should strike. Maybe the WNBA players need to talk about striking against a league that has lost and a reported $40 million per season, even with the injection of interest from, the rookie Caitlin, who came in there and really, got a lot of attention. It's just peak entitlement. I mean, I don't know how much more entitled you can get if you think you can strike against an employer that still isn't making money and is subsidized by the NBA. The NBA itself is not really, going, gangbusters right now, especially after all the political stuff that they did.
Right.
So I just wondered if you had seen that headline.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Yeah, and she's people really don't care. You're right, though. Fans, here's a headline out of the Daily Mail in the United Kingdom. Fans rip Angel Reese over her performance after star threatens to strike over lack of WNBA pay raise. And they don't understand capitalism. They don't understand free markets. They're not in favor of capitalism or free markets. But Reese, who is playing in the 3-on-3 league ahead of the WNBA season in May, she recently threatened to boycott, right, the WNBA if the league doesn't meet the players' demands. Always demands again. It's never a request. It's always not negotiate. It's always demands. They always think they've got a gun to somebody's head, and they're threatening. Listen, Angel, if the WNBA were canceled today, practically no one would notice outside of your family, and no one would care.